Hello, thank you for joining. We're going to wait just a few more minutes to give people a chance to log in. It takes a minute to go from meeting to meeting. Thank you for joining us. Sorry about the halo over my head. I didn't realize that the sun at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and when I'm home is like this. I'll have to figure that out. All right, we'll take one more minute. Then Scott, are you doing the overview of NCATC since Craig is on an airplane?
Yep.
All righty. Okay, 105. Mr. Board President Scott Lucas, since our executive director is on an airplane, we give it to you to kick us off with an overview of NCATC.
Thanks, Linda. Good afternoon or good morning, I guess, depending on where you live in the country. But thank you for joining the final member drop-in for 2024 for NCATC. If you're not familiar, hopefully you are familiar with NCATC, the National Coalition of Advanced Technology Centers. We've been around for 30 years, and we focus on a lot of very valuable things that help us in education in the advanced technology arena. We base our mission off of four very distinct pillars that they're distinct, yet they're very interrelated. And so today we're going to hear about one of those pillars, pillars 3, which focuses on CBE and industry recognized credentials, which we all know is a very valuable piece of what we do nowadays. A lot of it is tied to funding. A lot of our industry contacts will work with us on identifying what those are. And we've got a couple of really great examples to share with you today. NCATC promotes a minimum of 4 member drop-ins. We do 4 specifically on the pillars, but we also do member drop-ins throughout the year on a variety of topics. We also are a very big participator in the Workforce Development Institute hosted by the AACC coming up here in January, the last week of January in Coronado, San Diego, California. And then in September, if you got your newsletter, hopefully you got your newsletter, just came out this yesterday or day before. Excited to announce our 2025 conference will be hosted in Tucson by Pima Community College. And I see there's a couple folks here from Pima, so excited that we're going there. And those dates are September 17th through 19th. So excited to go down to the Southwest to talk about Industry 4, advanced technology, and all the other great topics that we cover as NCATC. Back to you, Linda.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. President. We appreciate it. Hello, my name is Linda Head. I currently serve as Senior Associate Vice Chancellor for Strategic Partnerships at Lone Star College in Houston, Texas. Actually, I'm retiring January 31st of next year. It's kind of an exciting time in my life to see what I do in the rest of my career, and I've been pleased to be a board member of NCATC. If you're a member, congratulations. If you're not a member, please talk to one of us. It's a fantastic organization and one that you're going to want to be a part of. We're sorry that our executive director, Mr. Craig McAtee, couldn't be here today. He's on a plane going somewhere. I'm not even sure where he's traveling to or fro. But I've been a friend and colleague of Craig's for many years, and he leads us. And having a background in engineering himself has been the glue to keep this organization as a leader in workforce development, the design of advanced technology centers, and the 4 pillars that you can see on our website, and this one in particular, in hands-on learning and all the things that go with that. We have 2 speakers today. One could not make it at the last minute. Our first one, I've gotten to know and respect personally. You know, growing up in Erie, Pennsylvania, it was a manufacturing town, and moving to Houston, Texas, and living in Houston, which is the 4th largest city in the United States. Getting to know Alicia Udy from Bismarck State, it's a whole different world. We're in her part of the country from Houston, Texas. And she's here today to give us some great examples from her part of the country. Alicia serves as the Dean of Energy, Automation, and Advanced Technologies at Bismarck State College. With a career spanning nearly 2 decades in education and workforce development, she has demonstrated a deep commitment to student success, innovative programming, and fosters public-private partnerships. Alicia's leadership roles have included managing academic programs, overseeing industry partnerships, and driving initiatives that align education with workforce needs. Her accomplishments at BSC include developing experiential learning opportunities, managing grants to support career pathways, and overseeing the launch of BSC's business and industry leadership teams. Alicia's dedication to advancing BSC's Polytechnic mission has positioned her as a key advocate for addressing regional talent shortages and promoting stackable credentials. She serves on the board of directors with the rest of us, and she's the president-elect and chair of the membership committee, and I've gotten to work with her very closely this year. Alicia, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I'm going to quick share my screen. All right, thank you for having me today. And so at Bismarck State College, I'm going to talk about a little bit about how we really got into stackable credentials in Industry 4.0 and where it started, and it really was with NCATC. So if you don't know much about Bismarck State College, there we go. I'm going to just kind of give you an overview. So when we joined NCATC, it was at a time that we got a new president, roughly almost 4 years ago. And really, North Dakota is very ag and energy based. And at that time, when Dr. Jensen came, we were transitioning to a Polytechnic mission. And in addition to that, our state as a whole was looking at how can we maybe not be so commodity based as energy and agriculture are, and really trying to attract manufacturing into the state of North Dakota. And so we are smaller than maybe most colleges here with, roughly 4,000 students. The state of North Dakota is very small, but we've seen such an expansion and to be able to support really the states in our region. When we were on the mission to move into a Polytechnic university, it really aligns with a lot of what NCATC is doing, really hands-on learning, workforce ready, partnerships with business and industry is really at the forefront of all of our conversations that lead to student success. And so as we're outlining what you see here, mission and vision, and really the students and the employer and that connection, one thing that we thought we needed to do was engage with NCATC as we were expanding to the manufacturing sector. And we really did that work through a member assistance program, a MAP review. And actually that's where Craig's at. He's just finishing up a MAP review at College of the Canyons. And this member assistant program really allowed us to recognize the need to develop more career pathways that were in a stackable credential, industry recognized credential built model. So we integrated business and industry leadership teams through this, doing that MAP study. We saw more value in the integrating internships and apprenticeships into our training program, and really saw the need for that collaboration and that work we wanted to do with business and industry, the need to potentially build a new advanced training center. So our campus is opening a brand new advanced training center next month. It's basically about an 88,000 square foot facility that has flex labs. I'll kind of pull up. So made collaborative spaces. We have a security operations center built in there, 2 large 10,000 and 12,000 square foot flex labs that we can basically design those labs to design that environment based off of what our training needs are at the time. Having collaborative spaces with business and industry, have a place for those built teams to come and meet, have a place for industry to come in and do training, let our students experience that training. So just that bigger mindset model of how do we integrate business and industry with the training we're doing, integrate the credentials that they're looking for into our programming. And I think why I brought this up into what I'm going into next.
Excuse me, Alicia, but I'm not seeing your screen. Is anyone else not seeing your screen?
Oh, shoot. Did we lose it?
We never had it. I never had it.
Oh, okay. I'm going to try again.
Sorry for the interruption, but.
No, I appreciate you telling me. Is that working now?
Yes. There you go.
We're
Thank
a Microsoft campus, and it does not like Zoom. I apologize. I seem like I have a lot of issues. Okay. So here's, I take a step back. So just some kind of pictures of our career, our advanced training center. And I'm really bringing this up because I feel like when we identified the Polytechnic mission here, there's just a lot of unknowns. Like, what does that mean? And how can we really, because it felt like basically when they said we want Business University College to become a Polytechnic institution, you already are doing that. We worked with business and industry every day, all the time, especially in our energy programs. Now we're approaching a new sector of manufacturing, which is small in North Dakota, but growing, and not I'll be honest, at an industry 4.0 level in most areas. And so it's kind of felt a little bit daunting. And I think bringing in that map and having Craig and his team and through that process, we had 18 meetings, I recall, from community members, meeting with our students, meeting with our staff and faculty, meeting with our state government, really help mold like what this could be. And out of that resulted in building an advanced training center. And so the space was designed in that mindset of growth and expansion to really bring in Industry 4.0 into the state of North Dakota, to not only expand our current business environment by bringing new business in, but really helping our current business expand also. And so that's why I wanted to bring that up, not exactly tied to industry recognized credentialing, but that really brought that mindset change to our campus. So now as you bring in that advanced training center, we're the flex labs. Now I want to make sure it's like okay. So kind of just what the outline looks like. So these two big, huge, so this is a 12,000 on the left-hand side, 12,000 square foot flex lab, a 10,000 square foot lab on the other side. In the middle, it's called a live event venue. It could be kind of like a theater space, you could call it. So just thinking about how you can bring in training, you can have maybe a guest speaker in the middle, you can go out and do hands-on activities on the outside. So trying to bring in that mindset and also even STEAM, the arts into STEM, and how we can, leverage that. And really that model gave us funding of $35 million from our state to build this advanced training center that you see. So they gave us $35 million. So basically the state funded us to build that facility. So now as we look at really, what are we trying to do? We're trying to equip students for the future. We want to be a hub for innovation, collaboration, and applied learning with our students. And so how are we going to build that space out, bringing in equipment? So just kind of listed, outlining some of that equipment. Our goal is really to have an Industry 4.0 production line. At our built meeting earlier this fall, they said, you guys need to actually make a product. So we talked about, do we make, plastic silverware that our student union uses for our own students? Like, do we start producing a product that we could use on our campus? So building out that model. So as we look at this, bringing in industry, what equipment do you need? What can we help train your employees on? What can we train our students on? How can we bring those in together? In addition to how can we start exposing this to K-12? In the state of North Dakota, we do a lot of early entry and dual credit for general education, but we are behind in career and technical education for the K-12 pocket. So just that space, being able to build the equipment that we need, looking forward for Industry 4.0, and kind of listed some of that on the left-hand side. And then as we're doing that, working with, we're looking at soccer credentials that would be aligned with that particular training. And I think the key part of having industry at the table with us, they're already talking about how they can bring employees in to train, how they can use that facility to train employees and bring vendors in, and then how can our students also participate in that type of training. So knowing that many colleges come to this webinar, I just wanted to be real about the challenges. You can have the greatest facility and you can get funding from the states and you can have partners at the table, but I think what many of us are facing is the challenges of butts in the seats and finding qualified faculty to teach this curriculum. And so what we were seeing in general is somewhat declining enrollments in energy and manufacturing programming. We don't exactly know why, but we were seeing that. Starting some new programs. We started a program in robotics. We just were not seeing the interest in gaining the traction that we thought we would. We struggle with, as many other colleges do, faculty turnover and how do you retain faculty. Also, because in our North Dakota employment rate, typically in that 1% to 2% range, employers are hiring out students before they even graduate. So being able to come together and take action of how do we do this. So basically reevaluating our program structure. How can we develop pathways into it? How can we build stackable certificates and credentials within that programming? So even when they're getting hired out early, they have a credential. If industry is willing to hire them out early, they must have a credential that that they'll hire from. And so how do we recognize that? How do we involve our high schools? How do we get industry to help us sell the career paths more? And so just those kind of conversations were real. Exciting to have a facility, but at the end of the day, we still need to get students into the programming. And so I couldn't be more supportive of built programming. If you don't have it, look at it, evaluate it, talk to one of us. Many of us use the built model. It's been instrumental for our campus. And so we built a manufacturing built team that really came behind us to help us get what I would say students into the program, promote the program, utilize the college for apprenticeship, use it for training. So that's been significant, and they work so hand in hand with our program advisory committees. They can work together, and we've seen the success of a built and an advisory committee work together. We built the built for a sector. So something a little different. We did the manufacturing sector as a whole, and then we took that built philosophy of how you run those meetings into the advisory committees, but we still have program advisory committees. This also required us to do curriculum inventory. We saw a lot of overlap between individual academic programs where we are teaching the same concepts in more than one program. We are teaching electronics in 4 different ones of our programs as unique courses. Why don't we have one electronics course, have that electronics faculty member teach it, value their knowledge of that, and stop being so strenuous on yourself of faculty resources. And this all really took a collaboration and mindset change of our entire team. It wasn't easy work, but I think we're all excited about what comes forward. This next screen is kind of small, so I'll probably jump over a little bit, but basically we started developing out those pathways, the stackable certificates, and overlapping of curriculum across programming as it helps you address potentially low enrollment challenges and faculty challenges. And then we started identifying what can we take to the K-12? What can we take to our career and tech centers? We're building 12 CTE centers in the state of North Dakota right now. How can we get ahead of it? What can we take there to expose students to these pathways early on in their career? You have, many people have probably seen your stackable. You build one on top of the other. Every stackable certificate has an industry recognized credential in it. They can exit, go to work, they can stay, build on top of it. All of them want to lead into potentially an associate's or bachelor's degree. Or you can look at it from this perspective, which I almost like this model better. We're kind of looking at selling it more like this, where you have Mechatronics 1 and Mechatronics 2, you add robotics, you can get a degree in industrial automation robotics, or you add in a mechanical certificate, you get a degree in mechanical maintenance. I think what this is showing is that baseline curriculum is the same, and students have options to build their pathway out the way they want, all again with industry recognized credentials built within those stackable certificates, really honing on 16 to 24 credits of stackable per stackable certificate. And then if they finish the first one in high school, in this case, Mechatronics 1, they could only have to spend 1 year here with us. Mechatronics 2, industrial automation robotics, they have all their credits done to get their associate's degree. Or if they want to stay longer, add a certificate in mechanical maintenance, add another certificate in electronics, and it allows them to get more degrees and credentials. So that kind of wraps it up. I think our commitment to this really empowering student with those skills they need, recognizing the overlap of skill sets in our area. Manufacturing and energy had tons of overlap, but we built them as silos, and now we've brought those all in together. And our team is really excited. Most of this will launch this coming fall. The use of built teams and the map really did get us to where we're at today. And our industry in the state of North Dakota looking to move to Industry 4.0 with us at the table with them. So student success, linking talent to opportunity, that's really our driver here at Bismarck State College. That's it.
Thank you. And I think because there's 2 of you instead of 4 of you today, if any of you have any questions, why don't we go to that right now with Alicia? Do any of you have any? That's awesome. I love the way you stacked it. I love the way you simplified the basics. I think we're going to send our own dean in our Energy and Manufacturing Center to you. Anyone in the audience have any specific questions for Alicia that you'd like to ask? Nobody? Okay. And we'll go on to our next presenter. Whoops. Whoops. I don't know what just happened. Just got kicked out for some reason. So our next presenter is Matt Janison. Matt, are you ready? I'm going to introduce you. Matt is the Executive Vice President of Academic Affairs at Gateway Technical College in Kenosha, Wisconsin. We were just all there for our annual conference. It's beautiful. And his primary role is to ensure the over 19,000 students attending Gateway annually receive an industry-focused education that is flexible and accessible, while finding success in over 142 certificate, apprenticeship, diploma, and degree programs that include both credit and non-credit offerings. They've done a beautiful job in pulling it all together under one thing rather than have it separated. It's all one thing. It's not CE over here and credit over here. He has been with the college since 2011, serving as the VP Workforce Development and as an automotive instructor before becoming the EVP Academic Affairs. Prior to Gateway, Matt was a high school tech ed teacher, and all combined, he has been working in career and technical education for over 22 years. And he's excellent at public speaking. I just complimented him the other day. He did a beautiful job. We had a tour. I don't know how many of you went to the Snap-on tour that we all had at our annual conference. It was excellent, and we all learned a great deal about that. Matt, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Glenda, and hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us today and giving us an opportunity of sharing a little bit what's happening at our other colleges. Similar, Alicia mentioned a lot of common things I think that we're all facing today, right? A lot of industry, lower unemployment rates, certainly skill gaps, lots of concerns and challenges from our workforce on how do we get more bodies, more people, more skilled people into some of these jobs. Preaching to the choir, but industry certifications and the applied learning aspects that are part of the pillars that we're talking today in NCATC certainly resonate with a lot of student groups and will, keep students who maybe traditionally haven't liked school interested and engaged and give them a purpose and a path that can be really life-changing, which is, a reason why I think a lot of us get into education to begin with. So part of that, just basically going to share a little bit of a story, not really a formal slideshow or anything with this, but just taking some of the things that we've done at Gateway and putting it into one context and just kind of sharing a story that's come kind of full circle for us, which is really starting to help provide more students even more opportunities, going forward. So we do a lot of work, with our normal traditional adult students, but again, looking for where are those underutilized, pools of talent, potential pools of talent that we can help get into all the job openings that seem to be hard to fill. And one of those areas have been, the Department of Corrections. So we do a lot of work both inside facilities, but we have a number of, minimum security facilities around us that will allow work release where the students can actually come on campus and be more of a traditional student, utilize our campus and our facilities and our equipment, and eventually get them paralleled with, usually a short-term certificate that will allow them to go and get an immediate job, which is good for our employers, and that's what they're looking for. But also we'll seamlessly go into some of our higher level technical diplomas and associate degrees. So that way, if in the future they want to continue their education and expand their skill set, they certainly can. So one area that we've worked with since about 2017 was our local Ellsworth Correctional Facility. This is actually a minimum security women's facility, and they were looking for opportunities to engage with these folks to find some career paths. And one in-demand career path that is certainly open to folks that maybe are justice involved is CNC, so computer remote control operators. A lot of that type of, from small independent, manufacturing machine shops to very large global corporate partners like Case New Holland are in our district. And that the demand for that skill set is always seems to be insatiable. No matter how many students we can pump out, they are hiring them. So, we suggested let's see if the ladies would be interested in an area of manufacturing for CNC. So we proposed that. There was some interest, certainly some hesitation at first. We started this in like 2017, but started this cohort, built this model, integrated many industry certifications from 3M safety to a lot of the Starrett precision measurement that we do through NC3, but also even getting into some 3D printing and some other certifications that will help them on the design side of things too. Implemented that, certainly due to all the hands-on, tried to replicate as close to business and industry we could. We have our normal advisory committees, but we had kind of some special employers that work very closely with us and the students, not just on the technical skills, but also offered to interview in a mock sense, kind of a mock interview towards the end of the class, all the students. Many of these individuals, obviously having been incarcerated, haven't had opportunities for job interviews or that type of interaction in a while. So wanting to make sure that they would be comfortable in presenting themselves and their new skill sets, the employers sent their actual HR folks to do mock interviews and then provide that candid feedback. Here's went well during that interview, here didn't. So build up those soft skills as well as those more hard technical skills, at the same time. The great part about this is very early on, the mock first practice interviews really became first round real interviews because the demand again has been so in need in this area. And at certain times, we've actually had employers hire the entire cohort, so that way they could just be bused or vanned to their place altogether. So when you fast forward since 2017 to today, we currently are running our 13th cohort, have led over 155 women complete this. Through the DOC records, between 70 and 80% of each cohort is usually employed after they complete the cohort, and after release, they continue to work typically in the community. Sometimes they move back to other parts of the state, depending on where they've come from. But since this skill set is so in demand really across the state, it really provides them a great opportunity to go wherever. I've attended a lot of graduations at a lot of different levels. The smaller completion ceremonies that we do for the ladies are probably some of the most touching and heartfelt that we have ever experienced. Their family members come. Often we talk about second chances, but when you hear some of their stories, in reality, I'm not sure they ever really had a legit first chance. So this type of accomplishment is again very, very proud of not just them, their kids, their family, their parents. Often show up, and the gratitude that they express of how life-changing this is, and the fact that many of them do have a job that they're going into now, even if they're still serving time. They're just going from work release and coming to college to work release now, actually going and making a living. Providing the opportunity to not have to make some of the same choices that maybe have got them into their initial predicament, now having that opportunity to provide for themselves and their family in a way where they can make better choices and decisions going forward. So that is always very exciting to hear. And again, the real reasons of why we get into education, when you can really see the change and the complete directional shift, not just for that one student, but really generationally. I mean, their family and their kids are now going to have opportunities that perhaps they never initially had as they were going through it. Obviously, couldn't do that without that employer support and being so aligned and making sure that what we're teaching at the college will seamlessly go into the workforce environment. That has been so pivotal in maintaining these relationships over time. If we wouldn't have put that upfront time and making sure we're doing that, we wouldn't have these same employers now coming back, for 5, 6, 7 years plus and continuing to hire these graduates. And really, at first, there were a lot of hesitation, right? In hiring people with, a justice-involved path. But the quality and the skill sets of the students and really their passion and desire to change their life is something that a lot of employers have expressed. They don't typically see with just the average people coming off the street and applying for jobs. There was a different level of engagement and just, self-pride and wanting to, that gumption to keep moving forward and keep learning new skill sets and go up. With that, as we followed a number of the graduates now since 2017, we've actually had a number of them end up getting released, continue to work in the community, and then come back to Gateway as an apprentice. We've had some come back and actually take our technical diplomas and associate degrees. They've now become supervisors and team leads in different areas of their different companies. And the best part, when it really starts to come full circle, one of the first ladies that graduated and completed in 2017, early 2018, went out, became a CNC machinist, actually finished her associate degree, has now gained that industry experience. And just this fall, she actually came back and we hired her full-time as a CNC instructor. So now she is continuing to kind of, give back and provide that next opportunities for a whole generation of students, and to be able to work with some of our other DOC students and just show them what's possible. No matter where you're at today, the steps that you're taking can lead to a significantly different future. And, having her share those stories with our current students, whether they're justice involved or not, really has inspired a lot of students to be able to do that. And, factor in that, again, female in manufacturing, non-traditional career, justice involved. It's a message that resonates with a lot of different students at a lot of different levels, and has really helped promote not just, the industry and the opportunities of what it provides, but certainly what we as technical and community colleges can really do, and that mission that we continue to serve all of our communities, and the purpose on why we're really here. So, that applied piece, the work that NCATC does in, bringing together industry and education, the work that we do to implement those industry credentials, and the speed at which we can adapt to industry and our short-term credentials to be able to give people these opportunities, are certainly changing lives. And again, this was just kind of one illustration where we got very lucky that it really came full circle, and now that student's going to be able to replicate that with all of the lives that she's going to be touching that are now coming to our college to hopefully replicate that same success story.
That's pretty amazing that you now have an excellent instructor. Hopefully that you get more from that. And that you have such close industry partners that they'll come and mock interview your students. That's pretty neat too. I put a couple questions in the chat for all of you. The first one is, do any of you want to give any examples that you have at your own colleges that you'd like to talk about? Nobody? You're just all shy? You're tired? You're thinking about all that Christmas stuff you have to put up at the same time, and presents you have to buy, and and cookies you have to make. You sure? Nobody? Okay, the second one is, other than Bismarck State, that's good to know. I want to ask Alicia about it. Are any of the rest of you Metallica scholars?
Gateway is.
Gateway is too. Alicia, talk about that. What year are you?
So this is our first year, and we did it for our mechanical maintenance and welding program. And we chose mechanical maintenance because it was one program that we were really struggling in getting students enrolled. And it was a very interesting experience for us, very learning in the fact that finances are a bigger barrier than we know. Finances are a barrier, but we realized how much of a barrier it was. We had like a special team marketing that program for nearly 6 months, and we had 4 students at the end of July, and in 3 weeks giving free tuition for mechanical maintenance, I went to 12, and we didn't change where we advertised or where we showed it, but we basically went from 4 to 12 in 3 weeks. And so I think the takeaway for our college was we have tons of scholarships and we promote that, but our population, like as Matt even said, most of them don't even think they can go to college, maybe, or want to go to college. Like the word scholarship isn't attracted to that. They're not attracted to it. They don't feel like qualified. They don't apply for it. And so how can we really share the tuition finance support that we have at our institution more, because we gained 8 students in 3 weeks in a program that we've almost had to close. So that would be, and it's been impactful. I mean, I could tell stories about the students, but like Matt, they probably never even had a first chance. We kind of gained some of those students that have some background or history, but it's been such a fun project. And so I'd encourage anybody to apply to that and look into that, or reach out to one of us, because it's one of the easier funding opportunities that you could have.
I was going to ask that. So
Yes.
Scott and board members, Alicia and Matt, and having money, it might be a conversation for the board in January, finding more opportunities where there are grants that you can do what you want to do with it and give the money away so easily to students. Matt, did you find out the same thing when you received the funds? What year is this for you for Gateway?
We were the initial group. So I don't know if this is year 5 or 6 or something like that now.
6. Lone Stars too.
So yeah, it's been a fantastic journey with that. One thing we noticed too, I mean, over time we get grant money in our local, our Gateway Foundation and stuff, so we have money to give away. But a little bit to like what Alicia mentioned, the brand of Metallica, right? I mean, when we could say Gateway wants you to come and we'll pay for it, but all of a sudden if we say Metallica wants you to come to Gateway and they'll pay for it, all of a sudden the phone started ringing. So it was interesting, just that little nuance to to generate some student excitement and be able to do that. And we've leveraged that through a number of different programs throughout the years. We did one in telecommunications. We did one in advanced manufacturing. We actually did one in CNC, and we kind of replicated what we did with the ladies' facility in Ellsworth, and actually did that with Kenosha County Corrections, which is a men's facility. We did basically the same thing, and we used some seed money from Metallica to kind of get that up and going. So we've leveraged it enough across the years here, and it certainly has been it has certainly brought in a lot of engaged students to different areas.
Oh, well, I'm going to the fundraising concert tomorrow night in Los Angeles, and I'm hoping to spread the word that we need more money so more colleges can be included. And it's another benefit of being part of NCATC is our executive director sits on the commission, and so does the board president, sits on the commission of AACC. So it also gives us leverage and a voice to hear more about these different opportunities that come through AACC. So, at NCATC, the map to help with design of advanced technology centers, the partners that help fill up your advanced technology centers with all the equipment. I had lunch yesterday with Gary Tomerlin and the company that he represents, and the built model, the cord, and all the rest, the NSF grants and all those kinds of things. And then there's also the one-offs like Metallica, which is just a cool thing to get some money for students for scholarships. You can award however you want and choose to. And to be in the room where you're talking with Carhartt, who is trying to secure funds to also then give free work boots that are a couple $100 a piece, and the $51 million that Lowe's Foundation has to give for construction programs and all that kind of stuff. Our students need money. We all know that. So to get the students into the labs, we need to also have some money to give to them. Is there anything else that any of you would like to bring forward since you're with us that you'd like to take to the NCATC board to consider something that the board should talk about for next year, for something that NCATC should focus on? No? You're just all quiet? You're all tired? It's the end of the semester? Scott, anything else that you would like to say?
No, thanks again for attending. We really appreciate it. Again, this is our last member drop-in for the year. So just keep an eye out as we flip the calendar for what's going on. We will have a first quarter sometime usually in March for our drop-in there. And hopefully we'll see a lot of you at the WDI in San Diego.
Have a happy holiday, however you celebrate, whatever you celebrate. Enjoy your time off and your family and loved ones. Take care. Bye-bye.